Hello and welcome to the Supercast. I'm your host, Superintendent Anthony Godfrey. Any day is a good day when you hear vocal or instrumental music coming from the many talented students in any number of our schools in Jordan School District. March is Music in Our Schools Month, and on this episode of the Supercast, we celebrate with a passionate music educator. Jennifer Clark believes quality music programs elevate many aspects of education and benefit students long after graduation. Let's start on a high note with some music.
Luciano, a little bit flat. Good. Good, Charlotte. A little flat. Good. We're going to play a piece called Jupiter for you guys. This is by Gustav Holst, and we are starting at the pickup to measure 8.
We're here in Jen Clark's classroom, and there's a little plucking and messing around going on in the background, because when you've got an instrument in your hand, students just can't keep from playing.
Yeah, and fun music in front of them, yeah.
That's
irresistible.
Right. It is irresistible. So tell me, how long have you been an orchestra teacher?
This is my 6th year of teaching.
And you teach at 2 different schools. We're at Copper Mountain now.
Yes, I do. So I used to teach fully at Copper Mountain, but then when we split in half, then now I teach my afternoons at Mountain Creek.
And I'm sure that the Mountain Creek students were very grateful that they got to keep you, even though they had to switch schools.
I don't know about that, but I was excited to get to keep them. I hope they were excited too.
This is Music in Our Schools Month. Tell me about the positive impact that a student experiences by being in a music class.
There are so many. So having music available to students in a public school or in their school is often the first place they get to experience music, because outside of that it would be parents paying for private lessons or paying for outside influences. So it's their first chance they get to be a musician, and there is so much value from being a musician, from learning how to play in a group. You learn team skills, you learn to work hard at something. This does not come easy at all. I know, so they are learning to persevere, to work on something that's challenging, and to learn how to be better at that. It teaches a lot of connection with yourself. Music is one of the most fundamental forms of expression for humans. So it allows them to express themselves in that regard and to learn to play music that they both have heard before and music that they haven't heard before. We get to access different cultures. So there's so much value from being a musician.
Tell me more about the connection to yourself as a musician.
Yeah, so it's learning how to play an instrument can teach you a lot about yourself and how you handle challenges and how you learn new music or new things. And then you get to find, it gives these kids their voice, because they start to realize as they practice more and as they work at it, they're good at this thing and they can play and they can express. And music is, at its very nature, it's expressing emotions. So they're expressing their emotions and they can connect with other people, even across cultures, across language barriers. It allows you to connect with people and to express your own emotion and your own self, because everybody, this music, for instance, the music we played for you was written about 100 years ago, and it's been played countless times, but everybody plays it a little bit uniquely and a little bit different, and they put their own expression into it. And then when you hear somebody play, you learn a lot about themselves and a lot about who they are based off of how they're playing and how they're expressing. So it gives students that voice, and sometimes they don't have that voice. You know, they're not very outgoing maybe, or they don't feel like they have that voice in other scenarios, but they can get with these instruments and really express themselves and their feelings and their thoughts and a lot. It's amazing.
And I loved hearing your description of orchestration.
Yeah.
When I saw the concert a few nights ago. Mm-hmm. Tell me about orchestration. Describe that.
So the orchestra and orchestration, of course, have the same root word, and so we use that orchestration in a lot of different scenarios, and just planning and organizing and pulling off these different pieces, but different moving parts. But it kind of stems from orchestra, where you have all of these different individuals who come with their own background and their own, speaking of expression, their own emotions, their own thoughts, their own world and life views, and then we come together and we have to learn how to play as one connected group. So we all want to bring our own, it's this balance, we have to bring our own individual ways of playing. We don't want to be the exact same as everybody else, but we want to be able to blend together and to produce something that's better than what we can each create individually. So that orchestration, sometimes I feel like I'm this puppet master, because I have all these different people going on, and it's like there's this string connected to every student, and they all come together and create this sound that we have 21 plus individuals, each offering their own piece of that, and then we orchestrate it and we put it all together into this one finished piece that is much better than if you just took 20 people in separate rooms playing together. Playing individually, it's a lot better when we come together, and we're a lot stronger together, and we orchestrate that and create finished pieces.
Well, you really are a bit of a puppet master, because there are lots of strings involved.
Yes.
After all.
Yep. 4 on every instrument.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now, you do also, of course, learn a lot of teamwork. You're relying on each other as musicians.
Yes, absolutely. So we talk a lot about blend and balance, and there are times when one section, maybe the violas have the melody, and we want, as a whole orchestra, we want to provide this kind of a safety net or this foundation of sound that the violas can rise above that, or whichever section has that melody can rise above that, and really it's their turn to shine. They're the melody, and then they'll pull back when it's not their main part, and we join that kind of homogenized sound. And so we're blending and we're balancing, where we want to give and take and say, when it's your turn for the melody, I want to do my best to let you shine, and then you'll do the same for me. So it's a lot of trust and a lot of teamwork that is absolutely necessary. Otherwise it does sound just like 21 separate people doing their own thing.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. So that's a great lesson
to
know when to blend and when to shine.
Yeah, it's all about relationships. It's like relationship training.
Yeah. Students who are in a music class also benefit academically.
Absolutely.
Tell me why you think that is.
There have been several studies where musicians, especially instrumental musicians, although many benefits still come from choir, musicians do better in test scores. They have higher grades. They often graduate at a higher rate. And for students who are looking to get into medical school, often there was one study that, so it's not a widespread thing, but there's some data that shows that that medical schools look for music as an experience, that they accept musicians at a higher rate than other subsets.
What I like is that you call your students musicians.
Yeah.
Tell me about that frame of mind that you put them in.
Yeah, I think that everybody's a musician. Even, these kids little children are singing and dancing, and music is something that babies connect with. And so we come to Earth as musicians. And if they think of themselves as musicians, they kind of take, it's a role that we can take ownership, and it's this this cool aspect of themselves that sets them apart from other students who don't play instruments.
Well, we all have a heartbeat, so we all have
Yeah.
a tempo we're walking around with all the time.
Yeah.
Now you put up a bulletin board to help promote Music in Our Schools Month. Tell me about that.
I wanted to highlight teachers that are musicians, because most of my students I know will not go on to college and become music professionals like I did. But music is more than just that. Sometimes we think you either have to be a professional musician or you're nothing. But we have so many of these teachers that did music growing up, and it kind of opened up that part of their soul, and then they are still musicians whether or not they play anymore. So I wanted my kids and these other students at the school to see, hey, you can be a PE teacher, a math teacher, you can really like science, you can do whatever you want, and music adds to that, and it's the supplement that leads to a well-rounded life. So I sent out an email to all the teachers and I said, if you ever took a music class, and I had so many respondents who were in choir, band, orchestra, music theory, all of this growing up, and a lot of it they've kept now to this day. They're like, you're in a band, or there's some that are still in groups or occasionally play, and it's amazing that it becomes something that people connect with, and they never want to let that go, even if it's not their main gig.
Were you surprised at some of the teachers who had been musicians?
Yeah, I was. I know we have one teacher here that will pull his saxophone out and play for his class sometimes, so I knew about him, but a lot of teachers that I had no idea. I love seeing that, and that's, I really think, the joy of that poster and of Music in Our Schools Month, is you realize this is a way that this is something everybody can connect to.
Well, I'm a music fan. I'm a fan of our music programs and our music teachers, and I'm so grateful that you do what you do, and thanks for promoting music in our schools.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming out today.
Stay with us. When we come back, we'll hear from some orchestra students at Copper Mountain Middle.
Do you simply love learning online? We can't wait to have you join the amazing teachers in our brand new Jordan Virtual Learning Academy. In Jordan Virtual Learning Academy schools, we offer innovative, fun, and flexible online learning with daily real-time instruction from teachers. Enrollment is currently open for all K-12 students in Utah. Start on the path to personalized virtual learning success now at connect.jordandistrict.org. That's connect.jordandistrict.org.
Okay, so I was watching you guys play. Charlotte, now you play the violin?
Viola.
Viola. I knew I was going to get that wrong. The viola's a little larger than the violin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell the difference, and I have to admit, I couldn't tell the difference when you guys were tuning either. So I do not have an ear for this when she was saying, you're a little flat, you're a little sharp. Do you have an ear for that? Can you tell when you're a little flat or sharp?
Usually.
Yeah. What made you want to play the violin?
Viola.
The viola. Yes. What made you want to play the viola?
So I actually did want to play violin at first, but then my older sister, she plays viola, and she was just kind of showing me everything about viola, how it's so cool and how it's kind of like a big cello, and my older brother actually used to play cello, and so I'm like, oh, I can be like both of you guys, that is so cool. So now I play viola because now I'm like them.
What is the difference in the sound between a viola and a violin?
So a viola has a much deeper sound, and it has a C string, which is the lower string, and it does not have the E string, and then the violin has the higher sound and an E string instead of a C string.
Are there more violinists than violists?
Always, yeah.
Okay, so you set yourself apart a little bit as a viola player as well.
Mm-hmm.
How often do you practice?
So I usually practice like every day after school for like a half-ish hour. Just go through all my music, go through what's hard, what's easy, just revise everything.
And is it something that you look forward to, having the time to practice?
Yeah, usually.
How does it feel to practice? Does it kind of relax you, or does it energize you?
It's actually pretty relaxing because then it helps me know that I'm actually doing pretty good and I'm improving.
And can you feel yourself improving?
Yes.
You can tell.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things about being a musician, is that you get this feedback. You know instantly if you've played a wrong note or if you're not bowing correctly. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you, now your siblings both play an instrument. Do your parents play an instrument?
So my mom used to play violin and she's sort of relearning it, and then my dad, he doesn't really like play piano, but if you sit him down in front of a piano, he can figure out a song.
He can tinker around a bit with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you imagine yourself continuing to practice and play as an adult?
Yeah.
Tyler, tell me about playing the cello. There's always room for cello, right?
Oh, always room for cello.
Do you practice every day?
Yeah, usually for about half an hour.
And what drew you to the cello?
Well, I played violin first in 5th grade, and then I decided that I wanted to play cello because I just didn't like the sound that the violin put out.
And now the cello is less portable. It takes a little bit more commitment. You've got the big hard case, but you don't mind that.
No, not one bit. It's totally worth it.
What are some of your favorite songs to play?
I love Brandenburg concertos from Bach. Specifically the number 3, the 3rd movement in G major.
I said songs. I'm revealing that I'm a guitar player. I should say, what are your favorite pieces? Brandenburg concertos.
Mm-hmm, Brandenburg
Fantastic.
concertos.
And as you practice, do you feel a deeper connection to the instrument and to the music?
100%, yeah.
Tell me about that.
It makes you almost feel like you're a part of history, being able to play these songs or pieces that were written hundreds of years ago. And you feel almost like you're connected to the composers that wrote them.
I haven't ever thought of it that way. I feel the same way when I'm playing just some pop song on the guitar. So I can imagine that being able to feel like you're connected across centuries to someone who wrote something a long time ago is really meaningful.
It is.
What made you want to play an instrument in the first place?
My dad plays viola, and my parents actually forced me to start in piano, and then I went to violin because I wanted to play a string instrument like my dad. And now I'm on cello, and I play a handful of other instruments.
It is nice that parents force us to do some things to start with, and then we realize that, hey, this is maybe a good idea. You started with piano, went to violin, and now you're with the cello. Mm-hmm. Do you think you'll change again, or is cello where it's at?
In a classical string setting, cello is definitely where it's at, but I play guitar and bass guitar too.
Oh, you do? And what do you like to play on the guitar? Classical or?
It's usually electric or acoustic. I love punk rock and classic rock.
Who are some of your favorite punk rock and classic rock bands?
Green Day probably takes that top spot. I love Green Day. And probably Queen.
Yeah, great bands. I love Green Day. Huge Green Day fan from the start. What advice would you give to any student who's thinking about starting to play a stringed instrument?
As long as you put the commitment in, you can always improve.
And you have to really put the commitment in to get the reward. The reward probably doesn't come right away.
Mm-hmm. No, it takes a long time to get the reward.
So invest the time, and the reward's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like this impacts you in other aspects of your life in a positive way?
Oh, 100%. It's helped me academically a lot.
Tell me about that.
Being committed to an instrument helps you commit in other places, like with your schoolwork. You can commit to getting a better grade in that.
So you understand what it takes to put in the work and have some commitment, but also, from my experience, when you put in the work, you realize, hey, when I put in work, I get results. There's a sense of efficacy.
Mm-hmm. It's very satisfying being able to put in the work and complete something that's worthwhile.
Well, you sounded great. I was standing right by you as you guys were performing. It sounded fantastic, and I know it's not easy to do. And congratulations on playing so many different instruments.
Yeah, thank you.
And on being a Green Day fan. Well done, sir. Annika, you play piano.
And the harp.
And the harp. Tell me about playing the harp.
It has been so much fun. I started playing in 4th grade, and so I've been going for a while, but it has been so cool to be able to apply that to a real school orchestra. I feel like that's not a thing that most middle school orchestras get to have.
So do you play the harp here at Copper Mountain?
When there's a song that has a harp piece in it, I bring it in on certain days, and then we get to practice it all together.
A harp seems really complicated to play. Can you tell me about the technique? You rest your thumbs on the same strings to start with, or how does it work?
Well, you're normally going to place your fingers on the strings that you're about to play, and you try to keep a C shape with your hands with your thumbs up so that you don't, buzz the strings as you move your hands along. And it's honestly not as complicated as it seems. It's hard to play on the tips of your fingers so you get a clear sound, but it's really just playing the piano on strings.
So really, those skills translate.
Yeah, and
So
they use the same music. So, well, not the same, but like they use the same musical
notation.
Yeah.
So harp skills transfer to piano skills and vice versa.
Yeah, for the majority.
Is your harp hard to carry around?
Yeah.
Just strap it to your back and carry it to your next gig?
Oh, I'm glad that doesn't happen. I have a dolly that you put it on and then you just roll it around, but you definitely have to have a van or a truck.
And you have to balance the harp just right. Do you balance it against your shoulder as you play? Do you lean it against your shoulder?
Yes. It normally is pretty solid because it's got 4 feet on the bottom.
Okay.
But to get better range for your arms and hands, you do lean it against your shoulder. I did actually have one time when I set it down too hard and it almost fell over. My life flashed before my eyes.
It's an expensive instrument, I'm sure. How long does it take to tune the harp? And how frequently do you have to do that? I
like to check the tuning every day before I play, and my harp is pretty solid at keeping the tune, but especially in Utah, it really, when the temperature changes or the humidity, it really just totally messes it up, and then you have to retune it.
How long does it take to tune it if it's really out of tune?
Anywhere between 3 minutes to 10. It really depends on where it's at.
And what drew you to the harp? What made you want to play the harp? In 4th grade, you said you started.
Yeah, it was actually a production of Tarzan that I went and saw because there was a live orchestra, and I saw that there was a harpist playing, and you always hear about the harp and the pretty glissandos and stuff, but really seeing it in that orchestra with the play going on, really, it was like, wow, I want to do that.
That's exciting. Glissando, that's when you hear kind of the smooth, fairy-like sound of the harp, right?
Yep.
So how frequently do you have, I assume you started with lessons in 4th grade. How frequently do you have lessons? How frequently do you practice?
I have lessons once a week, and I could do more often, but I don't because I feel like I don't need instruction all that often. But I practice half an hour on harp every day and then half an hour on piano. And then, if I'm really stressed about a performance, it's more than that.
What do you like about playing the harp?
I really like how it's so versatile. People always think of the pretty runs and fun, pretty music, but you can get so many different sounds out of a harp.
Well, you're obviously a very talented musician. How has music changed your life?
It has been such an important part since I was little. It's hard to pinpoint the changes, but I feel like that definitely has affected how I approach school and the things that I do in my day. I get home from school and I jump on the piano to do all my stuff, and definitely orchestra has been a really big part that I wouldn't have had otherwise. Is playing an instrument a stress reliever for you? Absolutely. Well, sometimes it can cause a little bit more stress when you've got a performance coming up.
Sure.
But it's just so nice to be able to have an easy song that you know and just play it through and hear that music. Fantastic. Well, congratulations on being so dedicated to your instrument. To your instruments. Congratulations. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Supercast. Remember, education is the most important thing you'll do today. We'll see you out there.